So if you're here, then you've already read the title and you know that this is going to be a review of Legacy Voyager class Bulkhead, a character that I said I wasn't getting because I didn't think it looked like Bulkhead and I wasn't really impressed. As a matter of fact, I thought it looked god awful, if I'm being honest. Well, enter not one, but two of our friends here on the channel, that being Ultra Mega Tortoise and Waspinator, and I ended up with not one, but two bulkheads. Somebody's trying to send me some sort of a message here. I don't know if that message is that they want to see me kind of tear this guy to shreds, or if they want to impress me because he's just that good. Anyway, you cut it. Old Bulkhead is going to be our focus this time around, unexpectedly, in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, loud 'em up, baby! And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All that in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And this is Legacy Bulkhead. I did not plan to get this guy because I looked at it and said, it's not Bulkhead. I mean, if you took the head off, it's not Bulkhead. Do I still feel that way? Well, we'll find out when we go over it. Like I said, I end up with not one, but two of this guy. So I really hope he turns out to be real good. I'm surprised that it's so funny. A lot of people said he's a shelf warmer. He's been staying on shelves. And other people say, I don't understand why he's staying on shelves. He's fantastic. I don't know all that yet. Up here, and I'm going to give this caveat now. When this guy was first announced and when I first heard about him, the price that I heard was $54.99 Canadian. And I said, no way is a Voyager worth $54.99. I don't care what the Voyager is. And there's been some fluctuation on that because I'm pretty sure that the market's not going to support $54.99 here. Pretty sure the market's not going to support an attempt that's been made at $49.99. It looks like most retailers, not all, but it looks like most retailers are trying to settle on $47.99 for a Voyager. I'm not sure if that's going to last either. I think they were pushing it with $39.99. But it seems like for Canadian, they're pushing $47.99. That's what I'm going to measure this guy by. Is he worth $47.99 Canadian? Is that the value that's actually here? Is he that good? Maybe I'll be impressed. You never know. I've been surprised before. Without any further ado, how about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And sometimes I just can't believe what my life is like. I had no intention whatsoever of getting the Legacy Voyager class Bulkhead because I thought it looked awful from the first get-go. And everybody has been saying to me, no, it's great, it's great. And I'm like, really? It doesn't look great. I gotta say, based on the stock images and stuff, it looks pretty bad. And people said, well, the proportions are better in hand and all of this sort of stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's not for me. I'm using the Last Knight Hound as my version of Bulkhead, and I'm going to stick with that. But enter our buddy Ultra Mega Tortoise and Waspinator, because I have not one now, but two of these guys. And I appreciate both of them. I mean, they're gifts, so they're mine. But, like, I never anticipated that at all. So a huge thank you. What can I say about this? Okay, we're going to look at the packaging first, and then we're going to get into this guy because there's a lot here to unpack. Get it? Packaging, unpack, nice segue there, right? Here is the vehicle mode that looks absolutely nothing like Transformers Prime Bulkhead. It's a fine vehicle mode, but it don't look like Transformers Prime Bulkhead. It's a military type of vehicle, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Like, I think it's a nice nod to both Hound from the movies, as well as animated Bulkhead, maybe. I think the Hound was an Oshkosh. I could be wrong about that. This isn't the same thing. I think this is called an H-18, but, like, I get it. That being said, the Transformers Prime Bulkhead turned into, like, souped up, like, Humvee, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a Hummer. But the animated one, it too was a military type of truck. So, okay. Over here, yes, that looks like Bulkhead. No, this doesn't. What I assume is going to be our standard legacy art on that's a beautiful art, beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous packaging. Of course, I'm partial to purple, so I'm going to say that anyway. And on the back, this is what we have here. And in looking at this, I was like, I don't like the look of this at all. It's not working for me. We also have, of course, the little scan thing down here if you want to see the online bio and all of that stuff, which is a neat feature. I'm not going to lie, I kind of like that. And we've got instructions. The cardboard on the box is a little thin, but these instructions are fine. They can even stand up nicely. They look good, they function well in terms of being instructions. Like sometimes the instructions are pretty iffy, but I found these ones to be decent. I don't think they do the best job of necessarily explaining how the arms work, which is the like, you know, it's the meat of this guy. It's the bread and butter of this guy, right? It's the meat and potatoes of this guy. But overall, they're not too bad. And here we have the Last Knight Hound and the new Legacy Bulkhead. And I've used the Last Knight Hound as my stand-in for Bulkhead for a long time, since he came out, what, 5 years ago? When that Bulkhead came out as part of the Last Knight line, I liked the Last Knight one better than the Age of Extinction one. I said, man, it's Bulkhead. I mean, come on, it is pretty much quintessentially Bulkhead, except this guy had a beard and Bulkhead just has a big chin. But other than that, like the tubby tummy and the green colors and everything else, I feel like this screams Bulkhead, even though they called it Hound. It retailed for $39.99 at the time. The Last Knight line was the first time that a Voyager had jumped up to that price point, and I can remember then saying, I don't know, man, I don't know. So I compared it at the time to other Voyagers and said, you know what? We have more articulation here, especially the ankle really threw me away. We had more paint here, especially the dirt on the tires, which kind of blew me away. And we had a genius transformation. I love this Hound. In terms of his look, he's definitely like Bulkhead green. And based on the product images, I mean, I thought that I was going to really detest it because I thought it was going to be 3 shades of green. There's only 2. Because the paint that's all here and all of that torso is translucent. The whole shebang, man, is translucent. If you don't like translucent, I wouldn't advise getting this because it's all translucent painted green. But it matches the green plastic here on the arm and the shoulder and the shin, for example. Then we have a darker green, like the shield piece on the sides and the feet. The 2 shades of green I'm okay with. I wish it was all the dark green. But I'm not going to pretend that this green doesn't pop. It does, and it looks good. The only problem is, if I take the head off, there's nothing here that says Bulkhead to me. Bulkhead does not have tires on his shoulders. Certainly not the Transformers Prime Bulkhead. That's what this is supposed to be homaging. The actual Bulkhead does not have 2 big windows on his chest. Bulkhead, while his shoulders are usually like a blacky type of color, maybe a gray type of color, the biceps aren't. So like there's definitely liberties that's taken here. I wish that this folded up more, something just to, I don't know, it's too blocky for my taste. And it doesn't scream Bulkhead to me. I'm sure it's probably a fine Transformer, it's just it doesn't scream Bulkhead to me. The head, however, I'll give credit where credit is due. I think the head is really nice, really well done. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go in closer on the head to take a little look at it. Really love that head sculpt. Yeah, I mean, that looks like Bulkhead. I'm cool with it. And I kind of like the Energon machine gun thing on his shoulder. Continuing on with the coloration, the thighs, they shouldn't really, I don't think, be gray. I'm pretty sure his entire leg is green, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's green. The kneecap being silver is right, though. And I think the feet are supposed to be not green. I think the feet maybe are supposed to be like a grayish color too, if I'm not mistaken, or blackish color, or whatever you want to call it. I don't detest this, but I feel like it's a stretch for it to be Bulkhead. 6, maybe a 7, if that. I think I'm being kind. My heart tells me 5. My heart tells me that for a version of Bulkhead, this is a 5. It does not. It just doesn't match it. What about the rest? Because a 5 is hard to come back from, and I know that some people are going to say, no, it very much looks like Bulkhead, or no, this is what Bulkhead would look like if it was G1. We don't know what Bulkhead would look like if it was G1. He was never there. So I understand that this is stylized and whatnot. and I understand it'll work for some people. It's just I'm iffy on the look of the guy. But I'll say this, the green is growing on me. What about the articulation for the guy? So the head can go left and right, up and down a little bit, but not a super amount. I do like this. It's an Energon, I think, machine gun, because that's the whole gimmick with Legacy is Energon stuff. Okay, if you say so. And it can poke in really in a little hole up here by the wheel, or of course you can hold it in his hand. The waist is very free flowing. I like that. The arms, they can go all the way around. I like that. Out to the side. We have a very deep elbow, and I do like that we have the elbow all molded in. That's nice attention to detail. I'm going to give credit where credit is due there. Bicep swivel, wrist swivel, which is nice. We have the legs able to go, get this out of the way, the legs able to go really all the way back and all the way forward, unencumbered. Out to the side on ratchets, no less, which is interesting. We have a knee to 90 degrees. We have a thigh swivel, and it's built, see if I can show this. It's built like in the thigh here. Now the whole leg is green by rights. This is silver paint applied to the leg for the record. It's not great, silver paint. But again, much like the Studio Series Scourge, we have a mushroom peg in there, and that mushroom peg is not just a peg, it fills in the entire leg there, so it's not really hollow, and I like that. I gain attention to detail. And we do have a nice ankle tilt, toe forward, heel forward and back. And then we have this piece here on the back. It can get out of the way, or we can, if we want, take it off altogether. When we take it off altogether, that allows us to access a couple of other accessories. Notably, I had this placed here and opened up just so it's in the middle of his back. This is his hand mace thing that, of course, you can put in his hand and wrap up over his hand. You can put blast effects in some of these ports, but not all of them, which is a bit weird. But you can, if you want, leave that black peg out, and this can go on, I think, please tell me I'm doing this right. Am I doing this right? Yeah, it can go on like a riot shield type of thing there, or if you want, you could take it off, and because we have, you know, again, thinking about the whole War for Cybertron, like weaponizers gimmick and stuff, we have a hole up here, a hole here, 2 holes on the tires, a hole here, hole on the bottom of his feet. Like, there's a ton of those holes. So if you want, you could take this thing and, I don't know, let's try putting it up on the tire first, just to confirm that the tires can work. Because I'm saying the tires, but I could be wrong. I don't know if the tires work, actually. Maybe not. Maybe the tires don't work. I apologize for saying that they did. What about on the forearm? Can I get this in on the forearm? It's not the easiest thing in the world to see, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Yeah, like you could put it on his forearm, for example, if you wanted, right? Like that's another option that you can do if you really want to. So in terms of articulation, I'm going to say that, honestly, it has about everything I could possibly want it to have. I'm going to have to give the articulation, and he's solid on his feet. I got to give the articulation, I don't think, you know what? The only thing I could want for articulation is his arm to be able to go across his body somewhat. 9.5, it's really good articulation. I mean, he's not going to be able to scratch his chest, but really good articulation. And he can reach his head. Like, I wondered, I was like, is his head in too far? But like, no, it's not. He can reach his head. So, cool, I guess. A 5 and a 9.5, I mean, the guy's getting about a 7 or so right now, I guess. Maybe a 7.5, something like that. 7.25. There you go. We'll split the difference and say 7.25. What about the transformation? Well, the transformation, I got everything taken off. We'll put it on as we go. I will note this with the transformation. These feet, I would not fold them all the way in because there's no lip of any sort to get them out. So I tend to leave them out a little bit. If you have something that you can pick them out with, cool. If you're cool with picking things out, I don't like doing that. Missed opportunity here to have something you could get a nail in under or whatever. It's a nuisance to get these heels out, I find. Okay, so we're going to begin by kind of picking the body up, and you can see inside just how hollow it really is. We're going to push this head down, and we're going to pick that piece up. Now I'm going to note this. You see right here these two tires. These two tires are going to end up going down on his back in vehicle mode. Remember when you go back to robot mode that these have to go pushed out if you want the armatures that the arms are on to be able to move. So I put that head down, but going back to robot mode, I would put the head up and then I would reach back and your finger should be able to push through and push these tires out. It's a small thing, but it's an important thing. So the head comes down and there's another inside here, there's another black, I don't even know what we would necessarily call it. Another black piece, that's going to end up coming up. We can't quite do it yet. We take the arms out to the front of the body and we pick them off on the side and we angle them all the way down here so that they come down like underneath the whole cab section. That allows us to make sure we got our head all the way down, and it allows us now to move the whole front up a little bit and root out that black piece and bring it up, and it fills in the roof of the truck. With these pieces down, you can see here that's the back of the head of Bulkhead. These pieces come down and these two tires go out to the side. We'll have to get those solidified a little bit as we go. The arms down underneath here, we bring them down and there's two black pieces. They lock into each other just like that. We can also take the elbows and we fold the elbows up. This is very reminiscent to what we did with Hoist and Trailbreaker in Earthrise. We bring that down over and now we have all of that really kind of solidified. These can go out to the side. Okay, now for the part that I tend to miss. This black piece will come up. We're going to open out the body. This is an easy one to forget. I'm not a fan of like the whole lower part of the body just being held on by that pin. That unnerves me. We're going to take this black waist piece and bring it all up around to the front, and then this whole piece comes up here on the back. We bring down a leg and we bring up a knee. We bring down a leg and we bring up a knee. And you can kind of see where this is headed now. I hope you can see where this is headed. We're going to open out this leg and we reach in here and we bring out this piece, rotate it around, bring it down on the side and close up that leg. Same over here, we open out the leg, we take out this piece, we rotate it around, we bring it down on the side. That's kind of clever, I'm not gonna lie, like that. We put the legs together, and once you have the legs together, you can actually take this blaster and mold it in on the sides. We have peg holes that can go down over right there, and we can close up our cylinder thing here and use one of the holes and peg it over this peg right here. Just like that. So they store back there, no problem. These feet, they can even come up. Like I said, they're supposed to be in a bit more. It's just I don't like doing it because it's a nuisance to get that heel out. Then, these gray pieces here, there's a little tab on the inside here that goes into the thigh, and then this little tab up here kind of pushes in behind the cab section. Putting the piece in the thigh is probably the biggest nuisance, and even that's not too bad to do. And then we bring all of that in. And did I bring it in on this side too? Oh, no, I pushed them in. Sometimes that happens because I push on the back. But like, now I'm going to have a chore to get these out. Big chore. Big chore. Don't like it. Okay, then we come to the last section. And you could, if you wanted, you could leave it just like this and have it be like a truck. Very similar to the Last Knight Hound's truck version. But basically using this black piece up here in that hole and this peg, we can take the whole tarp, canopy, whatever it is that this is called, and bring it on and bring it down. There's little rectangular pegs right here. They peg into peg holes there and peg holes over there. And boom, in the end, here we have Hound in his military H-18, I think it is, truck mode. Interestingly, while we still have access to the ports and stuff, I found it real weird that we have these Minicon ports, or what looks like Minicon ports, on the canopy section. That's part of why I think that this mold will be reused as someone else. I don't know Unicron Trilogy well enough to get any idea of who else this could be from that line. But if you do know Unicron Trilogy, you probably got some ideas of who this could better look like. If you do, let me know. Now, I can even say this, that I think the transformation's great. Honestly, I think the transformation is great. I like it. It is generally quite smooth, not that hard to do. Things that are supposed to peg in where they should. Any difficulty is my own human error. 10. I think the transformation's stupendous. Rolls like a champion and feels hefty when you roll them. I like that all 6 tires were left. It's not like they colored in the rims here and they're not there. They just left them all black, which I think is realistic, to be honest with you. Rolls great. I like that the cab, in this mode, I like that the cab is a different green from the rest of the vehicle, just to differentiate it a bit. I think it is quite successful in a vehicle mode. So we had about a 7.25 overall. I think a 10 for the transformation overall. As a transformer, I'm going to say it's a solid 8.5, maybe even a 9. It's a good transformer. I don't think it's worth $47.99 Canadian. I think it's worth $39.99 Canadian. If it was still at that price, I think it's worth that. I've struggled to see an extra $8 worth of value here. Maybe with the paint. Maybe with the paint. Definitely not with the engineering, because it's just as good, if not a little less, than the Last Knight Hound. But it's a solid transformer. I think the US price is accurate. I think the Canadian price is too much. I think it's a solid transformer. I think it's an iffy bulkhead. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of how I'm left feeling here. Neat transformer, iffy bulkhead, little overpriced in Canada, but I think pretty spot on in the US. And here we are once again, and here he is. Now, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak. Not that there's really much in the way of ugly. You'll see what I mean as I kind of go through this. So, the good. I'm happy that there's actually just 2 shades of green. A light green and a dark green. I wish it was all the 1 shade of green. But I get it. They probably did it to break up a sea of green. In a lot of the promo pictures, it looked like it was going to be 3 shades. It looked like the paint on all of this that's translucent. His whole torso is translucent. It looked like that was a different shade than like the light green on his arms and like on his shins. But it seems like it's a pretty great match under now a lot of different lights I've looked at it. So 2 shades. I think that that's better. I still love the head sculpt, but I said that all along, that I thought, yeah, that's a great bulkhead head sculpt. It's wonderful. But I feel like, oh, and I guess I'll throw this in the good as well. The articulation, second to none. It's really good, better than I expected. The only thing I don't like is, of course, because of how bulbous the chest is here, like, he can't get his arm out in front of him, right? That's too bad. I feel like this should have collapsed somehow a bit, or, I don't know, collapsed in, or there's something about this that's too boxy and it's not right. It's bulbous, but it's not bulkhead bulbous. But outside of that, the articulation is kind of stupendous. I'm glad that this doesn't need to go on his arm. I'm glad that this doesn't need to go over his hand. And I'm glad that it can get up out of the way, so when you want to do things like kick back, it's not in your way. That is clever engineering. The materials feel good. I'll give credit where credit is due. I think the transformation's clever. So transformation-wise, I think it's a fine transformer. Articulation-wise, I think it's a fine transformer. The head is great, and I like the fact that we only have 2 shades of green instead of 3. What don't I like about it? There's not much to not like. I don't like the way that I have to kind of pull the waist apart. I get nervous with that around that pin that's down there, and I always forget to flip up this little black piece that's on his tummy, so that makes me a little unnerved, but that's kind of my own error. Like, that's my own user error. That's not a problem with the mold of anything, of any consequence. It's not a design issue. Let me put it that way. But again, I look at it and I'm like, it's fine, but it's not bulkhead. It's just, it doesn't... When I think of Transformers Prime, I don't think of this. Now, vehicle mode, I find it's very reminiscent of a bit of Bulkhead from Transformers Animated, and a whole lot in vehicle mode of Age of Extinction Hound. Maybe a bit of Last Knight Hound, but definitely a lot of Age of Extinction Hound. It's a lot like that Oshkosh thing that he turned into. It's not. That's not what this is, but it's a similar sort of vehicle. And the reason I say a hint of animated is because it's a militaristic vehicle, right? If this didn't have the head on it, I would never look at this and guess, oh yeah, that's Bulkhead. Like, the head is the only thing that makes this Bulkhead. And I feel like a lot of fans are probably in the same boat. It's like the Titans Return Sentinel Prime. A lot of people said it's not really Sentinel Prime. It's obviously Astro Train done orange with a new head, you know? Or something like the Laser Prime from Titans Return was recolored and it came out and it was Octone or Octane with a new head, basically, right? Now, there were a couple of differences, but basically that's what it was, right? I feel like this is the same thing. I feel like we're going to see this mold again as someone else. I feel like when we see it as whoever that someone else is, we're going to say, ah, yeah, that's who that mold was intended to be all along. I feel like that this is an absolute pre-tool of a pretty great Transformer, but I feel like it was shoehorned in to being Bulkhead. I don't feel like it's an actual Bulkhead. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if this mold gets reused and who it gets reused as. It's a fine Transformer. It's a great Transformer. I don't know if it's quite $47.99 great. I would wait for a sale personally. But as good of a Transformer as it is, I don't think it's actually a great representation of Bulkhead. Let me know what you think about Legacy Bulkhead. Does he fill your Bulkhead bill? Or do you think it's kind of like me, a great Transformer, but not exactly a Bulkhead? Let me know, like I said, what you think about this guy. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member. Also hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. Don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, you right there, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.